Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews. Welcome to Training Camp Wrap-Up presented by the UPMC Health Plan. I have a special guest down on the field, fresh off from the first day in pads, rookie center Kendrick Green. I can hear you breathing a little heavy there. Take me through your first practice in the NFL in pads, Kendrick.
I'm out. Okay, you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was a good day, but obviously a lot to work on, and we're just gonna use today as a starting point and build from there.
Was there anything that caught you by surprise or anything you anticipated that did happen?
Obviously, I would say everything was anticipated, kind of what I expected, but it's just, like I said, just a building block.
What was it like having fans in the stadium today? Kind of, pads go on, fans are there. Did they bring some energy for you guys?
I would say absolutely. It was pretty dope having them out there and just, the music's going, good atmosphere, honestly.
All right, we're watching some video of you working with Ben Roethlisberger a little bit earlier in practice today. What has it been like building that relationship with Ben, and what do you want to improve on as you move forward in training camp?
Just being able to be trusted by him and, reliable, honestly. But, we're starting somewhere too. And this training camp, we're going to get it right. We got weeks to go, so that's what we're going to do.
All right, Coach Tomlin told us that you're expected to start at center for the Hall of Fame game, which is crazy. It's just next week. What does that mean to you?
I'm not really thinking about that. Kind of just taking it day by day out here. But, that's all I can say on that.
All right, Kendrick, get some Gatorade, get a towel. Thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that was rookie center Kendrick Green, kind enough to join us. I am now welcoming in Bob Labriola, who has a notebook full of things to tell us from the first practice open to the fans, first day in pads, which means, Labs, you can talk about a lot of things, which is new to us this year since the ramp-up period kind of restricted that a little bit.
Yeah, got the notebook, got the binoculars.
Oh, you're ready.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, first day in pads. And one of my favorite drills of all time, backs on backers. Typically Mike Tomlin likes to start the first practice in pads with the first competitive period being backs on backers. And, it was no surprise that, we got to see a lot of the main people. Najee Harris got a lot of repetitions in backs on backers. Robert Spillane got a lot of repetitions in backs on backers. But for me, the star of the day was Alex Highsmith in this drill. Alex Highsmith, drafted in the third round a couple of years ago as a hedge against losing Bud Dupree in free agency, which is what happened. And Alex Highsmith, despite the acquisition of Melvin Ingram III, looks to me like a guy who is not going to give up a starting job easily. I don't know that anyone got a very good block on Alex Highsmith throughout the entire backs on backers period. He went against a lot of different guys. I have to say that the tight ends had no luck dealing with him. Not Eric Ebron, not Pat Freiermuth. And again, Alex Highsmith showed, in my opinion, some things that guys his age don't often have developed to his level this early in his NFL career. He's very good with uses his hands. He also seems to have a nice repertoire of secondary moves. That's one of the things. I was talking to Craig Wolfley about this as the drill was happening. And one of the things you often see from young pass rushers in the NFL is they will have developed a decent move that they were able to use in college and win with it, a fair amount of time. And a lot of times they just rely on that. Alex Highsmith has some nice initial moves, but he's also developed a decent repertoire of secondary moves, and he was using those in this first day in pads, in my mind, to great success. One of the other interesting little matchups, I mentioned Najee Harris got a bunch of repetitions in the backs on backers, and it seemed that most of the time he was matched up against Marcus Allen. Now in the first rep between those two guys, Marcus Allen got the better of it, but then as they continued, sometimes Mike Tomlin gives guys a do-over right away, and then he also will bring back the same two later on in the drill for the same matchup, give them a little bit of a a rest or to think about whether they won or lost the last one. And Najee Harris, over the course of the drill, got better and better at it. And by the end, he was stoning Marcus Allen. Another guy for the offense might have injected himself into the competition for a backup running back spot, Kalen Ballage, number 29 in white, for any of you fans who are either here today or plan on coming to one of the practices open to the public. Kalen Ballage he has some nice size. He was a stout guy in there. He held his own against a bunch of different pass rushers. I liked what I saw from him. Now, the one thing you do have to admit, though, is Kalen Ballage has some NFL experience, and so a lot of times that's the kind of thing that allows a guy like him to look good early in training camp. But then, is he going to continue to improve as guys get their footing a little bit more and we get deeper on into the preseason period of this training camp, I guess you want to call it?
Labs, I'm going to butt in right now. Head coach Mike Tomlin is speaking to the media, so let's head back downstairs.
Those and ease those guys back into the process, but it's not necessarily about those guys or about their lack of participation for us. It's about the increased opportunities for the guys that we know less about. And so we're really focused on some guys getting quality reps. Chooks not working gives Dan Moore an opportunity to really get some good snaps versus the guy that's been around a little bit, like Alex Highsmith, for example, over there on the left side of the offensive line. And so that's kind of been our focus. Again, really excited about continuing this process of getting familiar with some of these new guys and some of these guys that will be playing for us in the stadium in Canton here in a very short period of time. Questions?
Mike, is the backer-on-backers drill one of the most telling drills that you see, and what do you learn from it?
I think probably the most significant drill that we see is one that we'll run next time when we're in pads, tight ends versus outside linebackers in the run blocking. That end of the line, that ability to control the end of the line or set an edge on defense, I think is more revealing than any other little compartmental drill that we do. Obviously, the backs on backers is important because it's more of an attitude drill. It's an opportunity to get to know some of these people. I think we all saw that, Najee likes competition and he doesn't run away from it, he runs to it. And that was something about the drill that was exciting from my perspective today.
Speaking of that, looking at Najee, struggled the first 3 reps against Marcus Allen, and then
I would disagree with that.
well, then coming back against
your words, not mine.
I won't say that.
Yeah.
But then it looked like he got stronger as the drill went on. Is that what you expected to see out of a guy like that?
His demeanor was telling. It was exciting that he had an appetite for that action.
You have a 6 for 6, Mike?
I'm not keeping score, man. We got a lot of snaps ahead of us.
Any other young guys stand out in that drill?
Really everybody wanted to see him for obvious reasons. Some others that distinguished themselves. We'll continue to roll the ball out and give them an opportunity to either confirm or deny some of the things that we saw today.
So you don't read too much into the tight end performance here? You want to see next back-on-backers, or was there something telling you saw here?
No. We include the tight ends in that drill just to give them some work, really to give the outside linebackers some work. Oftentimes in today's game in play pass, tight ends or combinations of tight ends block outside linebackers and some of the play pass things. Their participation was more about providing service for the outside linebackers than anything else in the pickup drill. The thing that we want to see from the tight ends, man, is that run blocking drill that will occur the next time we're in pads against outside linebackers. Next pad at practice, certainly.
What did you see from Najee and the whole running offense the first time you got to do that in pads?
It was a good sample, but a very small sample size. I'm not rushing to judge or draw conclusions or seek comfort. We're all kind of in that mindset, right? We drafted the guy in the first round. You can trick yourself into believing everything. Boy, he's ready to go. No, it was just one practice. It was a good practice, and we'll see what the subsequent practices have for us in that regard.
Mike, what was it like to see fans back in here for the first time in a long time?
Man, it's just great, Man, they energize us. It's just been a tough year or so for all of us, and so, their presence is a signal that maybe we're moving on and out of it, and that's exciting.
You mentioned small sample size. Obviously, that's what you've had from Kendrick Green up to this point. But what tangible growth do you want to see from him as you guys progress here?
I just want to see him digest the verbiage, to do a good job of communicating and being kind of that hub or focal point of the offensive line. He's embracing that element of it. I like what he did from a conditioning standpoint between the end of the spring and now. You could see he's one of the guys that took a step that month or so away from us, man, he really spent that time in the right areas, and it should be continually beneficial for him as we continue through the process.
Mike, a lot of different offensive linemen showed well today. How open is that competition? A lot of these guys weren't numbers that we're usually looking at.
Let's be clear. All positions are open. Somebody makes enough plays out here, we're going to believe them, particularly as we get into preseason games and we get an opportunity to play those 4 preseason games. That's just the right attitude to have this time of year, not only in the offensive line, but across all positions.
Didn't guys bring his break here working out during the 4 weeks?
He did. He did, yes.
Last one.
First team run period.
On which side of the ball or on both?
Both sides, yeah.
It's ebb and flow. It's what you expect when you're in my position this time of year. It was some good plays had on both sides of the ball. I thought we had a couple runs or two initially early. I thought 56 particularly, Alex Highsmith was stout at the point of attack when we ran over in that direction. But again, he was playing against a younger guy whose first exposure to the drill because we didn't have Chooks in there. So you can paint with a broad brush and tell whatever story you want to tell this time of year. I'm just going to keep snapping the ball and let those guys reveal to us who and what they are.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, that was Coach Tomlin after the Steelers' first padded practice, kind of reassuring us what Labs was telling us prior to everything about Alex Highsmith. But Labs, as Coach said, he was not going against Chooks, who did not work today. It was Dan Moore Jr., who the Steelers drafted this past draft. But, Eric Ebron dealing with an elbow injury, and Anthony Coyle also left practice. So no real major injury updates, but just some things to keep an eye on, as always, during training camp.
Yeah, and the other thing that Mike Tomlin said today and always says at this stage of the process, it's an ebb and flow kind of thing. And, today it was backs on backers where, the outside linebackers were able to maybe take advantage of tight ends in pass rushing. Now, the next time they do it, they're going to be covering them, which switches the edge from the advantage, from defense in the pass rushing drill to offense in the pass coverage, pass receiving drill. And so we'll see how Alex Highsmith, holds up in that area. But, again, I was impressed by him. I like the way that he kind of kicked off his training camp in pads, especially in lieu of the addition of Melvin Ingram. I wanted to see how he would respond to that. He was obviously not a shrinking violet. And so again, I like what I saw from Alex Highsmith. Mike Tomlin also referenced the 11-on-11 run live tackling drill, and that was another one that kind of interested me because there was no hesitancy to give the ball to the number 1 draft pick. I think Najee Harris carried the ball the first 5 or 6 snaps. One nice run to start the period, and then after that, as Mike Tomlin mentioned, Alex Highsmith was very stout at the point of attack, and I don't know that another run gained more than a couple of yards after that first one.
All right, and we'll see the next installment of Backs on Backers, or the attitude drill, as Coach Tomlin just called it, the next time the Steelers are in pads. That's going to do it for our training camp wrap-up show. For Bob, I'm Missy. Thanks for joining us. We'll see everybody back here tomorrow.